Shion, Cosmos, and Alan joined up with the Elsa. Junior and the others were on their way to Old Milshire to retrieve the Zohar at Helma's request. While everyone's motives were different, they were all destined for Old Milshire. The Elsa proceeded along the shortest route possible, a dangerous path straight between two black holes. However, the Ormus Stronghold blocked the way through. The crew of the Elsa decided to ram the fortress head-on, infiltrate it, and destroy it from within. So welcome to the next episode of Xenosaga, Jenseits und Böse. And German pronunciation again is probably not on mark. In the last episode, we basically did a war, prepare for ramming speed, and rammed. We didn't ram it. I mean, we're tiny, and we're in a ship that is extremely phallic, and this ship is also slightly phallic, and the ships that it surrounds it are also phallic. So, I mean, the fact that we use the word penetrate, we're just in a bit of a phallic section of the game, to be brutally honest. So what you want to do is make sure all your ESs are fully healed. They should be, and just move a few around. You want to just make sure everything's what you expect it to be, because of the fact that the enemies around here are weak to, I think, is ice and slash, although we'll see shortly. You want to mix them up so that their special attacks are right. You want Tornado Fist, and you also, a few others. Because most of the enemies from here on out aren't too bad. Actually, ignore me. Boss fight time. Boss fight time. So we've only got a little bit of boss fight. Make sure you destroy that. It is imperative that you destroy it, because otherwise you'll... Well, you can do it on the way back, but otherwise you just have to keep going over and over and over again. And here we have another cutscene with Herbert and Richard. Herman and Richard. The characters no one cares about. They got given a bigger role in Xenosaga I, 2 DS, but not here. Here we just have no idea.
My name is Richard. I assume you remember? I'm sorry, but I have no time for games. Honestly, I grow weary of these encounters. I've had enough.
He likes to monologue. I mean, if you really, really were wanting to kill these people, you'd just kill them. So we've got Scutum, the second Scutum we face, and he basically, you just want to use an aura attack or beam and lightning if you got to it. Try and possibly steal his charge boost, that'd be quite cool. But you want to take out Scutum first, so just stop. And Pilum, this guy that's just jumped forward. He's weak against, I think, Pierce and Strike. Now, Pierce is the one you want to use because Strike doesn't give you that much of an offensive. You want to get rid of Scutum before anything serious happens. He's the rather fat one. And then you also want to get rid of Pilum before anything too serious happens. He's got an ultimate move which will take off 6,000 from one attack. And actually, you kind of want to use because otherwise the cutscene after makes no sense. Now, I'm not sure if that's a glitch at all. If that's a glitch during the animation where you see that, but I actually can't remember what it originally looks like. It just seems a bit odd to look oddly glitchy. So, I mean, there's not really any tactic here. Just kill him quickly. He changes his weakness from electricity, but you know aura is the most effective, so just keep using aura. And yeah, just give him a bit of a hitting. Just use the old thing. Stock to 200, and then unleash your other attack 200% special move. And you should be fine. It's not a hard battle. The only hard thing is keeping your health above a certain point. You want to try and keep your health above roughly 6,500, because that's how much the top attack can take off in one go. And obviously with an ES battle, you can't revive your ES once they're dead, so it does become a bit different. Okay, so this is the stage when Richard will go a bit crazy. If you focus your attacks on Scutum, Richard does go a bit crazy, but he just doesn't like Herman. So, yeah, this is that cutscene. The NAF.
You can't use that weapon in here. Stay back. Richard, please stop. Richard, come.
I like the way there's a big red button there. Yeah, so it took off 6,700, literally put a hole in the side of the fucking ship, and then shot out. So what would have happened in real life if that would have occurred was that he would have put a ginormous goddamn hole in the side of the ship. That would have sent the ship going in the opposite direction and would be now black hole food. Fantastic. So yeah, Richard's going to move forward, but at this point, Scutum should be one way away. Ah yeah, 3,000. He's just falling. He's gone. So now we focus on Richard for doing his stupid move. They're basically supposed to be religious fanatics. and that's the point of them. But we don't really find out much about them. They only come in Xenosaga 2 and 3, but you're kind of always like, what are you doing here? But don't worry, we won't have to deal with them too much more. So just keep yourself healed. He'll only pull off that move once, but you should be able to deal with it. It's not devastating as long as you keep your health up, which is the reason why we have the ES. Zebulon, I can't pronounce it. I will do at some point, but that's why we have that ES here, for all the ether healings, because it's free. So we just keep slapping them both. Their 200% moves are pretty good. I mean, they're not that much. And then we can switch out if you want to bring out the ES Asher. Now he's already done that move, and just destroy them with the ES Asher. Although he does cause a lot more damage to the ES Asher than he does to the ES Zebulon or the ES Dina. So just keep stocking. This is pretty much what the game is. It's stock, unleash a cool attack, have done with, or unleash a cool combo. So yeah, he's just gonna slash at you. I recorded this about 4 times this whole segment, and 3 times out of the 4, he didn't make that hole in the side. And at the end of the cutscene, it's been changed, the room we're in, to have that hole there. So I was like, what the hell? Why is there a hole there? And obviously realizing that it should happen in most people's playthrough of the game, that it is entirely possible not to have that special move. And now Richard is just going crazy. I mean, we need to put him down. He doesn't give religious fanatics a good name, which is saying something considering the religious fanatics of today's world. So just use the Gatling Blast, which is a pierce move, because it's bullets, and bullets pierce things even if it's metal. Although that's not really a bullet, those look more like mini grenades, but who cares? He'll be dead pretty quickly. So yeah, we've still got the Zebulon and the Asher. The Dina you can get rid of because he's not weak against beam. It's all physical stuff, so just keep slapping him. And that's really it to this battle. There isn't really much. It's just take out him with the Dina, take out Scutton with the Dina, and then once he's gone, get rid of the Dina, bring out the Asher, and just gang up on Pilum or Herman or whatever. It's the name of their craft. I don't think they've got official. They're not actually actual ESs. There's something very special about ESs that we'll find out in Xenosaga 3. I don't think we've discussed that yet. So that's why there's a difference between the ES and EGs. EGs were just anything anyone have, really cheap, I assume, and ESs have a specific power source which is very special. So that's why you don't see many of them around, and that's why we've got them, and they were, I think, invented by Vector. Gosh, even Momo's craft moves its hips oddly sexual. At least it's not, a 13-year-old girl like Momo in general, but, it's making a robot appear like that, isn't it? So yeah, just keep everyone's health up. The ES is Zebulon, as Momo's health has dropped a little too much for my liking, so but we're so close to finishing, we may as well just keep going. Although, you want to watch out, because he has got 3 full boost gauges, so he might use that to destroy your face. Oh dear. Yeah, he's not got much health left. He's got 500. I mean, a slap from Momo is pretty much enough to finish him off. Although we might use... Yeah, let's use Rain Arrow. Oh, come on. Typical, isn't it? And Momo dodges again. That's the great thing about Momo, is she's agile as fuck, basically. So, yeah. A kick in the face from Momo. Well, that's got a sting. And that's the end of that fight. You could have stolen stuff, I should have really done it, but it doesn't really matter. So if you see in the top right hand corner of this room, there is a ginormous hole in there, so I don't know why that hasn't just messed with everything, but who cares. So that has now created, yeah, you can get to the battle and that not happen, which is really bizarre, so you end up with just wondering why the hell there's a hole in the side of the ship. And then I thought, well, do I have to go down there? Is that where's next? Is that a secret area? But no, it's none of that. So you want to activate that switch, which brings up this platform that you'll walk along as humans later on, despite the fact there's now a breach in the hull and no one's noticed it. I don't know how Richard and Herman are still doing that. You never see them talk to Margulis or anyone in Ormus. You never see them involved with anyone in Ormus, really, apart from one person later on, and it just doesn't... I don't get the feeling that they're really in any sort of control, or they're just there to be, oh, random boss fight that you'll remember, little and large kind of stuff. So yeah, make sure you've destroyed that before leaving this area, or you will regret it. you'll regret it so much. There's nothing worse than backtracking in the ES because the ESs move so slowly. Okay, so just want to check the parties there. We're going to move Jin and change it for Ziggy, and then move Shion and change them for there. So we've got them how they were originally, shall we say. We just changed those over to get access to those special moves that we saw before, and that's kind of the point. But I forgot to see it and forgot to mention it. Damn. So yeah, this is the problem with this backtracking here. It's so slow and so long, and the animations for everything are so slow. I mean, it's not as bad as Xenosaga 1, where the animations for, you know, one move would be like 2 minutes and it would deal double the damage as a move that dealt with 1 minute, but it all just felt very slow. At least this game, they've sped up a lot of things, just sadly not this. I mean, you're in a ship, why do we have to walk around on the floor? They fly in space. I guess the idea is there's probably artificial gravity in here, so it can't fly that much to defy it, but it already is because they hover. Who knows? Who cares? The decision of the designers was, let's make them not able to fly over here so that they have some sense of forced distance. I don't know. Some point that someone mentioned out, if you remember in Xenosaga 1, there's a bit where Momo was like essentially brain dead, just after we picked her up from dealing with Albedo, and that was, I think she was talking in the battle and everything. Yeah, well, that's just casual designer oversight. It'd be difficult to program that in, I think. Program it into the point where you'd have to say, well, I guess you'd have to always check a flag that she is brain dead, yes, stop speech, and then you'd have to implement a lot of things. And for something so quite easy, I don't know whether that becomes about the designers or about the just programming. It'd be a nice to have, probably. And granted, by how much of this game has been lost to the budget, I don't know whether the same thing happened back then. It would have been a really nice to have, but never got developed. Same with this. I mean, let's be honest, this game is... There's so much that was lost to there's so much on the cutting floor when you have a look in the disc. I mean, there's a whole shop that's been dropped. As you can tell by the whole way Captain Matthew's quest, like, that makes so much more sense to have. If you have the ability to sell things, which is a shame. So yeah, if you've noticed the yes or no box, I know it's slightly off. It's slightly glitched out, and that's because the combination of settings to get everything else to work on the emulator for Xenosaga II, that's one of the only problems with it, and it's the most annoying bug we can see. But sadly, that is the way that most of this game goes. Xenosaga 3 is going to be horrifying for bugs, though. There's just so many things. You want it to look right or play right, or just, oh, we'll deal with that when we come to it. Hopefully by the time I'll finished it, PlayStation 2 emulation will be just completely, like, done. There will be nothing to worry about. But, yeah, that's not really ever going to happen. So, for the next stage, you want Ziggy, Chaos, and Jin. The reason why I want Ziggy, Chaos, and Jin is that the enemies here are weak to Aura, Slash, and Fire, roughly. But they're all good hitters, and we want them to be on the next area, because, oh boy, is it going to be a pain with Cosmos, Shion, and Momo. It's basically just the best of the best at this point. We're using, well, I say the best of the best. The best of this particular situation. And that's the one thing I really hate, is when you run out of CP and also run out of SP. And it's just, I don't know why they call them C points, just CP or SP, abbreviate it to, we all guess that P means points. So yeah, I'm just showing off that I've given everyone the swimsuit, including Ziggy, because we want to see what a cyborg looks like in the water. Considering he actually has robotic parts, like, you know, proper robotic parts that you'd imagine wouldn't do too well underwater, but hey ho! So they're all there because of the bonuses and all that jazz. So just showing you off what they've all got. Not much. We don't have any points for him to add anything on. We're nearly there with everything that we need to fight Orgula, and that's the most important point. Orgula needs some... It basically needs you to have Ice Coat, Blade Coat, Spear Coat, as some of the ones that most of the people who are going to battle in this learn, as well as Status Resist 20, Combo Boost, Focus 1, Revert, Media, and Boost 1. There's some good ones to have. Focus 1 is, I think when you every turn you have, it basically revive. Sorry, every turn you take it up, you get back some SP. No, some EP. Oh god, that's Persona 4 kicking in there. Revert and Media is always good to revive people. Boost 1 is great because you can give yourself boost, which is really handy if you want to boost someone else over that way. Combo boost is great because it'll help combos, but not really essential. Really, Ice Code or Blade Coat with most of them is fine. And then you also want break sensors, break arms, and break armor. Break arms is possibly the most useful one to have, just because it can really stop her from attacking. Later on, we'll see that there is one. I followed a specific pattern to beat Orgula, but there is actually a better way of doing it, which in the end I found, and it really takes her down a peg. She just can't do much to that. You kind of box her in, and as long as you kind of keep your health above a certain level, you're fine. So yeah, that was the chest that was inside the huge ginormous friggin' plate that we destroyed earlier on as the ESs. I kind of like the idea that you've got to do something as an ES as a human. That kind of makes a good degree of sense. So, where's his shadow gone? Oh, it's there. It's just, it looks tiny in comparison to him. I don't know where the lights are coming from in this place. So yeah, the other thing you desperately need is Pocket Rare, because it's the only thing that will 100% of the time Pocket will steal the rare item, and that's just a double ether between Analyze and Pocket and Psycho Pocket. So everyone has Analyze, everyone has Psycho Pocket that you take into this battle. You are in the best place. There's none of this panzing around for for a rare steal. It will 100% of the time rare steal them. So now we start off with the PSS P2, the second of their variety, the Ormus Stronghold version. They're weak to fire and aura and slash. So Jin does a lot of damage. So literally this team is made for this area. And the same for the PSSC one. So PSSC, the second time we've encountered them. Yeah, I know. Zone CB as usual, just give them a good kick. If you have a look in the side, you'll see that they all have the same elemental matchups. And no, I didn't make a mistake. I looked back 3 times just to check. They have the same elemental types, the matchups. The only thing they don't do is the breakpoints. So you just the zones, sorry. And you just got to remember that it's BB for the PSS P2, CB for the PSSC, or BC for the PSS B2. You don't have to remember that because the game will do it, and they're in the helpful sidebar at the side. Plus, I couldn't friggin' remember that. But you can see when you start doing the circle, like start slamming down some circle moves at the end of some combos, you'll start dealing incredible damage that just nukes them. They don't really stand a chance, it's just stocking to the point where you can do that damage. But hey ho, that's fine. Like I said with Jin, Jin just destroys them, especially when he airs them. Not so much though as Ziggy, it seems. Even I think Ziggy's got more power. Just a raw powerhouse. So yeah, we can also see Chaos is toned. It's not really, is it? Let's be honest. It's just he's a washboard. So yeah, they're all in their swimsuits because this is a male swimsuit party. I guess the PSS is whatever they're called. What does that even stand for? They're almost his army essentially, which is weird. I mean, it's a religious army, really, isn't it? That's what it is. So yeah, we got a skill point ×4 off that, which is great. These aren't too difficult. They're just annoying. They're really just annoying is the best way to put it. What would be great is the ability to drop stock onto people as well, because then you just have, in one turn, you'd be able to fully load someone with stock, and then the next turn they'd be able to just unload that stock, so it wouldn't take 3 turns with everyone stocking up. Although, you don't really need to do that, I guess. You can just, everyone have a bit of a bash. But yeah, why not let him deal with this. Although he doesn't surprisingly deal as much damage, even though his should be doing double the amount of damage. I mean, Ziggy dealt
Fighting will accomplish nothing.
1,700. So Jin there being like, fighting will accomplish nothing after basically slicing up the enemies like a fucking kebab. That's always good. So yeah, we want to use some of these skill boosts, really. I mean, they just sat there otherwise, just to get some people more access to better skills. What is the team that I'm going to take into the Orgula fight, you might ask, because that you may want to concentrate on those. Well, certainly it's Cosmos, Shion, and Momo. The reason for taking those 3 in is the healing. There's pretty much 2 healers there, which is great to keep on top of. And if I can remember rightly, I think Orgula has weaknesses to at least one of those, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Orgula is either fire or pierce, or thunder and strike. And since we have Momo's regular attack, which is pierce, I think, and we have, yeah, there are other teams you can take in. But, I mean, the game suggests you take in Jin, I think. I don't think I take in Jin. I think I just take in Momo and give her an ice coat, which helps against some of the ice damage that she'd be expecting to get. All in all, you can make it work for whatever you want, but I think Cosmos and Shion is quite an important thing in that team. So, yeah, the escalators. They're finally deciding to make it quicker. Yeah, there's none of this, oh, we've been back attacked malarkey. You just go into a battle and it chooses. It chooses what you want to do. Sorry. It chooses the style, the layout of the fight. I'm trying to think of it. The formation that you get into. And this one's a bit of a pincer attack. Although I say that, a pincer attack usually you need more people on either side. Yeah, so watch out in these kind of battles, because 2 people or however many you've got facing one way will always suffer more damage from the person on the other side, so just calm down a bit with that. So yeah, interesting to note that that person used Hyams something. The Hyams is a weapon company in this game. You don't tend to talk. They don't talk about them too much until Xenosaga III, but essentially all the arms companies and everything is run by one person. I'm just going to leave that little juicy tidbit there for you to think about later on. But yeah, Hyams is the one that's... Jin is just glitching in there. Out of the way, no one's even looking at Chaos just destroy an enemy. Hyams is affiliated with Ormus, because essentially Vector's more the government, and they can sort of help out the government, but Hyams are more towards Ormus, who are, you know, the religious, I want to say extremists, but they are, and yeah, they are religious extremists, really. There's nothing more, I don't know, important about Ormus. It's just a bit funny, really. So anyway, make sure you destroy this. Don't know what Ziggy's doing. He's just kicking things. And you pick this up, and it's 6 Class B upgrades, so that's, I think, 20 class points each. That's 120 class points, which isn't too bad. And we pick up the decoder O2, which means we might be able to go back and decode something now. But as usual, we'll cover all going back at the end of this sort of... I call them chapters, because we go to each area, and it's so segmented into those areas that it's very easy to say at the end of this chapter. And to be fair, Xenosaga III does actually split up that chapters, so it's easier to follow at that point. Again, in later episodes, I will be speeding up some of these fights just to cut the runtime down, because these can get a little bit long. So again, start off by doing your wonderful stock for 3 turns, and then you should be able to take everyone out unless they down Ziggy in one shot, but he gets straight back up. So yeah, just, you know exactly, you've got the characters out at the moment that deal the most damage. You may as well just go through and do that. Yeah, just healing characters. Really, at this point, he should have Medica 2, but since I use Chaos the least amount, it doesn't really make much of a difference, so I'd just keep going. I do hate these battles because it is slow. Now you figure out what you're supposed to do to really make mincemeat of them. It doesn't happen quickly. It does take a little bit extra time, but you know, some of these battles you can be in for 5 minutes, and that's what I quite like about, I guess, things like Persona and Final Fantasy, well, especially Final Fantasy 13, because it's quick. You know, most random encounters aren't too slow because the way the combat system moves is quite fluid and fast. And this is a turn-based system at its heart, and that's always going to be a little slow, but there's... I don't know, I just feel like there's other things they could have done to speed it up. Maybe allow you to deal a bit more damage. Stock... I don't know. It seems difficult without breaking something, but it just feels slow. But yeah, I don't know why I'm stocking at this point. Again, all post-commentary. I've had a problem with the emulator, and I really need to upgrade my computer at this point. It's a bit slow running over everything. The annoying thing about Ziggy is that he could literally take out one of those enemies with his last circle attack. It's almost infuriating pardon me, that you can't switch those up. One circle on one, the other on the other. So, yeah, someone's just killed Chaos. I mean, he fell to the floor before he got hit, so that's pretty unfortunate. I'm going to use a rejuvenate, not a rejuvenator, the revive DX on him, or revive S or something like that. We've got enough of them to worry. We've got enough of them, so I don't worry too much about them. The animation looked like a tiny Death Star. So yeah, just the fact that Ziggy's got higher ether than Chaos kind of says a lot at this point. They're just, I guess the problem coming into this is these are more underleveled. They haven't touched them as much with, well, I don't use them as much. But I've tried to follow the typing so that we can move through things a bit faster. Because there's nothing worse than just being stuck in an area for ages. But that's the thing, for the last minute it seems like nothing has happened in the battle other than someone's been killed. Because right now we should be able to just take one of these guys, I didn't mean to say gays, one of these guys out and just... But yeah, as you'll also see, you got that AC aura. I think it's for like a tribute combo or something, where if you use the move of the same type, like several aura moves or several fire moves, then it levels up, which is partially the reason why Ziggy's attacks might be so powerful. It's because the AC... Oh, nice, skill point 10. Because the AC combos are really nice. That got us quite a nice amount of S points, actually. Pretty lucky for that. So, yeah, just keep going around here and blowing everything up. This will open up a ramp so that you... I don't know. It's tried to make it easier to traverse this later on, but it's slow anyway. Doesn't really help with much. Yes, Ziggy's doing a little dance on the stairs. Come on, off you come. So yeah, there's a save point here, and next is basically just some... what am I going to say? It's some pushing blocks around. We want to change up the party. At this point, we're going to be dealing with some flying enemies who only Jin can touch, I think, at this point. And we're also going to be dealing with enemies who have weakness to electricity and beam. So that means the Cosmo, Shion, and Momo party comes out. It's a shame because Junior is just sat there twiddling his thumbs. I don't often use Junior very much, but we will. If there's a particular enemy who's weak to Pierce, he will come out eventually. So again, they're all got, I think, some of the ether stuffs to keep them going. Okay, so we walk along this long, tall bridge. You can see how much detail went into some of these places because they look great. This zoomed in as well as being that far out, so there must have been some interesting texture swapping to make the game not chug when you're doing either. Different level of details for when you're in human form, but then this is quite zoomed out for humans as well. The non-ES. So before we're pushing blocks around, we have to navigate our way down this area. So this is full of basically enemies that we could have defeated before, but I don't know. You don't really have to change them out now. So again, they've all got the same weaknesses they had before, but I was switching them out so we could just kill them off. Just get these guys a bit more experience. So if you want to watch, they do deal a lot of damage to Shion, and they do deal a lot of damage to Momo, so Cosmos is your only thing that kind of saves this, as you realize I'm already using Omega 2 on Shion, because she's just been destroyed so quickly. So stuck with everyone. I mean, really I should have waited till about... Well, the next two fights. This fight you could still use the other team that you've originally used. It's not a problem. So the reason why I've sped up is because these battles are long enough. But I don't want to skip them. I'd like to show them, but speed them up. If you'd like me to skip them, just let me know and I will skip them. The nice thing actually is about this is, since I'm rendering these videos at 60 frames a second, these will look silky smooth, whereas the rest of the video will now appear jittery and jerky. So thank you when you notice that in about, well, a minute when we defeat the battle, finish the battle. So yeah, Momo's just around to keep everything running smoothly. These aren't too difficult to defeat with this team, but I'm showing you it's possible, but not necessarily the best thing you want to be doing. And also, you know, once they get aired by Cosmos, Shion can do quite a bit of damage, but as you see, they deal a lot more damage than they were dealing to the other party, and it's a lot harder to deal with them. Especially considering I don't think any of them have auras on their weapons. No, it's Strike on Cosmos. And I think... it's Pierce. Yeah, Pierce on Momo. And I think Shion, yeah, it's Electricity. And it's Ether Attack, and it's... So, we're basically using the things they're not meant for. But hey-ho. You do go through points in this in the game, I guess. There are times you won't take certain characters in, and we're building this up because this is the team that I'll be taking into Augula. Why? Because healing. Ether and healing, and it's good to have characters with a huge ether tank, especially when you'll be wanting to use a double move that costs quite a bit of money each time you use it. I like the way that's dealing 0 damage to everyone as well. So that's... Ah, dear. Yeah, I don't know what to say about these battles other than, my, they take some time. And these enemies just don't want to die. I wish you could take stock over from battles, but you can't.
Overestimated enemy threat.
I wouldn't say we overestimate enemy threat. I say the enemy threat is just, you could have died of boredom during that fight. So yeah, as you're walking down this, the first 2 fights are going to be the enemies that we're used to in the previous area. But then the 2 fights after that, because there's no random encounters in this anyway, they're all enemies that roam the field as they were, are flying ones, and they're further down. So once we defeat this guy as well, luckily it doesn't take us long. I think this is another sped up battle. So yeah, the reason why I wanted to get through a lot of this is because this area is just literally fighting, and I really don't like that, but I thought we may as well just power through as much as we physically could in this episode. I was going to quick Cosmos, because if she becomes quick, she might do a lot more damage. She's the one we're relying on to really take everyone out at this point, so it's worthwhile doing. They have a lot of attack all people, and it's really bad for this kind of group because they're not as strong at dealing with it, although they're taking quite a lot of... Like, most of them are dodging half the time, which is the added bonus of having a bunch of agile people. Which is typical that all the females are more agile than the males, but I guess Ziggy is a robot, although that should, again, work in reverse, because he should be tuned up. The whole point of adopting cybernetic upgrades were that they are upgrades and not downgrades. Although I guess you could argue that. I mean, just that's brutal. It's just he's just hovering up in the air through no like feet of his own, and Momo is just firing arrow after arrow through. It's pretty lucky. I missed out on healing. What's she called? Momo there for a second. I'm having severe brain fog. Watching this battle go through quite fast though is nice. I might start doing all repetitive encounters as sped up, just because it does decrease runtime of episodes, and it's just wasted time really, isn't it? Unless you want to hear me drone on about something, then in any case it's not really wasted time, but whatever. So yeah, we're going to end with... I was going to say we're going to end with Momo finishing it off, but we're not. We're going to end with someone else finishing it off. Yeah, Cosmos giving a good kick and then a slash in the air.
The enemies have been exterminated.
I don't like the status infliction system on this game. It's very unusual the way it can go from H to L. It's very... Sorry, L to H. It's very... It doesn't lend itself to any form of clarity. You've just got this bauble on the top of your head that just sits there, and that's kind of it. So now would be the time to switch your team up to the current team that I'm using, because these things have a weakness to it, and they're pretty much one of the only enemies in the fight, and most time there's like one in the middle and then 2 of these guys flown on the sides. This is a PSS-A. They're 2.5 times weak against beam and 2 times weak against electricity, so meaning you've got a pretty good chance of most of them getting there. If you're wondering why this battle seems so solely include Cosmos, is we're pincered them, but 2 of the characters are on the other side of the field. But again, you can move the characters around however you see fit on the battlefield, so you don't need to worry about that. And now we're going to get back attacks with Cosmos. So as long as they keep facing that direction, we will just... Cosmos will destroy them. Which she should, because she's an anti-gnosis weaponry that destroys everything, and yet in battle seems to act in the same way as everyone else. She seems to be as competent as Shion, which is not the point when you're building a goddamn weapon that's supposed to be able to destroy things that don't exist in our fucking reality. But hey-ho, that's enough of the game not changing to accept the reality, you know what I mean. So the great thing about bringing Shion into this is she deals like 3,000 damage a turn now, if you stock her up fully. So it's definitely worth bringing her along for the party. Sadly though, even with back attacks, she really misses out. Cosmos deals less damage by like 90%. She deals 90% less damage than Shion. I mean, I understand elemental weaknesses, but Cosmos can literally punch a hole in fucking steel. So that thing's made out of steel. She could punch a hole with that and then literally throttle the guy or snap his neck in a second flat. But again, we must deal with the constraints of the game. So again, Momo's a great person to carry along because she deals, what, 20% of the damage that Shion just did. So really, your best bet for this battle is just bring in Shion and then everyone else just literally twiddling their thumbs for the whole time. Although back hits do help a bit. Yeah, you do manage to get the attribute combo too, at least on the last 2 hits, which is great because that'll help you out. Again, they're not really worth your time in skill points, so I wouldn't be bothered by them. So only one more battle in this area, so there's 4 battles basically. You can see it jittering around down there. It's not fun. It really isn't the most fun, this area. The music, again, is not great, but thankfully we're nearly done with this. Thankfully, we're nearly done. Isn't it great? So Ormus Stronghold, it's one of the areas. There's a large amount of bosses in it. There's a large amount of regular encounters, and they're all with just human type enemies. Although that's pretty much Xenosaga 2 in general. All human enemies, no Gnosis. You know, I would forgive anyone who came into this game and thought this Gnosis threat. Nah, it doesn't seem like that much of an issue. We don't even friggin' see the Gnosis until the secret dungeon at the end. What's the point? I guess the Xenosaga II, Jenseits und Böse, is meant to be beyond good and evil, and I guess beyond good and evil is what the humans are. The Gnosis are essentially, they are beyond good and evil in a sense because they don't understand, they're acting on instinct alone. So they don't, while they are acting beyond good and evil, they're not necessarily aware of the compass that we use to judge good and evil. Whereas the humans are, so I guess the fighting and everything that we're getting towards is probably beyond the state of good and evil because of what the Zohar is and what it connects to and what it is a doorway towards. So I guess there's a lot more there, and this game is more about the fundamental struggle between humans to get to that. And this could be seen as sort of humans trying to get closer to God, I guess, because of the amount of power that the Zohars have. Even the Zohar emulators are filled with power to some degree, which is crazy because I don't know how you could emulate something like that, but there is more mentioned in this. In fact, in A Missing Year, which is the flash animation that bridges the gap between Xenosaga 2 and Xenosaga 3, it does discuss a bit about that, and you hear words like Lemageddon, which is just confusing, and the Song of Nephilim filters into all of that. So that's the fun thing now about all of this. I could talk about all of those stuff forever, but I haven't really ever seen A Missing Year, so I'm not aware of the storyline between there, which is a shame. But I'm aware of the storyline between Pied Piper. So the big thing now is between the episode 2 and episode 3 Let's Play, it's how we best represent Xenosaga of Pied Piper, which is a story of Ziggy. It's a story that was cut from Xenosaga 3, and we'll really need to know to properly understand Ziggy's motives in Xenosaga 3, along with a character called Voyager, who I think has been introduced in this game, or we'll see shortly. And he is... We need to be able to understand that story to understand that character bond and development. And we also would like to understand a bit more about Ziggy's backstory and why he is fitted with an anti-suicide restraint device, shall we say. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and then we've also got not a Pied Piper, but the Missing Year, which basically explains what happened to Shion in between the game, a year after Xenosaga 2, which is quite emotionally draining as something to watch. It's been translated up on YouTube, but I'd like to do something about it to make it a bit better. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the translations are all owned by people, so it involves talking to a lot of people to get some sort of main thing on this channel, but I'd like to be able to sort of tell you all about it and show you all about all that jazz. Okay, so this is where we have a load-bearing puzzle. You can sense my just horror at the load-bearing puzzle right now, because I'm just... oh my goodness me. Not looking forward to it. So, the load-bearing puzzle. I guess we'll get started on it now. The idea is you want to kick all green ones, or is it all blue ones, onto there. So kick the green one, and then you just to destroy it, you go to the side. Kick the green one on, destroy, and go to the side. So you want to destroy all blues by going to the side of them, and then kicking all the green ones off by going into the front of them. And that is how you do this and get it to the right level. And if that wasn't made easy, or sorry, if that wasn't made obvious, you then got to climb all the way down the ladder to try to emulate the most awesome ladder climbing scene in Snake Eater. A shame it doesn't really come anything close to it because of the music and just, I guess, what you're going to do in Snake Eater. It's such a great way of making... it's just a great interlude, I guess, to all the action. The contemplation. Right, so now we're down here. I realised I fucked up. Well, I haven't. You basically kick the bottom one and then you come up here. Why it needs to be that complicated is beyond me. But obviously here's a puzzle section. So... guess what time it is now? It's hyperspeed, filling it in. So with any of these, you want to create a wall either side, to kick that all the way down there, and then you've got basically 3 all lined up. You want to kick the middle one through, or you can move them all like that. But you can kick the middle one through, so now you've got a gap in the middle, and you can use this to push it through, or you can basically realise that you've just fucked up. No, you want to push that to the right. I don't know why I'm talking about what you're doing. You just follow this through piece by piece. But keeping the 2 at the side is great because it's one of the only ways that you can... you need one to be able to stop it because they just slide. It's very akin to those ice puzzles we were so used to in Pokemon. The one, the icy cave, I think it was, that was just rock solid. It was that cave before you went to the Elite Four in Gold and Silver. As a kid, I found it rock solid. Now, it's not so much of a problem. You just have to think about it. Okay, so now we've done all of those. You could just go straight ahead and get ready for the last puzzle area before Augula. Or you could do what I do now and just... some more block pushing's fun. So you want to push these. Thankfully, these move one at a time. So the idea is you want to get them to go sort of down here and then up a straight line across that other block that you can see. So this one's a lot easier, it's just slower, it takes more time. Also, you can notice that the shadow is wrong, actually. If you push it here, you'll see the shadow is like floating. It's obvious the way they've done it probably, but there you go. The shadow floats. So keep kicking this box along, and we'll reveal a segment address, which is 18, but we don't have 13, sorry, but we do not have the access to it yet. But at least you've got it noted down for later, so you can come straight back here, which is the best thing that you want to be able to do. Okay, so in the next episode of Xenosaga Jenseits, und Böse, we will continue on this horrible transporter room. See you guys then.